Okay, so now that we are a little familiar with what Xcode presents to us when we choose a single view application template, and now that we've run our Hello World application on the simulator or on the virtual device, let's get into, first of all, what happens when we click this play button up here. As developers, when we write code, we will create a new .swift file and we will begin to write code inside of it. Periodically, we want to check to see if the compiler, if Xcode and the brain that lives inside of it that is the expert about Swift, we want to see if the code that we've written is able to be executed, able to be run, and able to be compiled and kind of packaged into an iOS application that can run on a device. The way that we do that is by, it's a two-step process. So we might write some code. Let's say we just wrote the code in this file. We do two things. In the product menu up here, first we build, and that's Command B. Building is basically asking the compiler to compile the code that we've written and let us know if we've done anything wrong. And it just so happens that, of course, as expected, the boilerplate code that Apple provides for us with a single view application template, there's nothing wrong with it. If, however, there was something wrong with it, this build step here, which is triggered by Command B or by hitting build, that would fail. So right now it says build succeeded, and we'll see a little build succeeded up here. If we did something wrong, let's say we deleted that curly brace, we're going to see immediate graphical representation of the fact that there is a problem. Xcode is doing us a favor and saying, hold on a second, I think that something is wrong. But we can also verify that by doing Command B, build, and we'll see build failed. It will sort of highlight the fact that there are errors on the page, and it will say build hello world failed up top as well. And it will say, hey, I think there are maybe two things wrong with the code that we've written. We can also see under this little tab here that looks like a little caution symbol, which is called the Issue Navigator. We'll see a list of anything that's wrong, any errors or warnings in our application listed here. So we've got a couple different access points. Like one is here. I can click on this. I can click on this. And it will jump you to the file and the actual line in which it is flagging an error. But that just happens to be the file that we're looking at, and it's a short enough file, so all of that stuff is on the page. So we don't really need this right now. But if we click on one of these guys, we can expose a couple different things. A little caret under here, a little triangle that's saying, hey, I think there's an error right here at this location. And it's saying it expects an open brace, an open curly brace in this class. So sometimes Xcode, it takes a best guess. Sometimes it doesn't get it right. Usually gets pretty darn close. But right now it's actually spot on. We deleted a curly brace from there, and it's saying, hey, we need a curly brace from here. So let's delete that one more time and just check this guy out. So it's correctly diagnosing the fact that there's a missing curly brace here, which is really nice. It's giving us the best hint that it can come up with to help us solve the problem. But we've also got a little guy down here, and it's saying there's an extraneous closing brace at the top level. And this is sort of where Xcode is human. It gets it spot on up top here, but it's kind of completely missing the mark down here. If we were to delete this closing brace, it's not really going to do anything. That's not a problem. That's sort of an artifact of a problem up top that it's identified earlier. The point being not that Xcode isn't perfect, although it is really helpful to know that Xcode is not perfect, because sometimes you're looking at something and Xcode's telling you, you're not doing the right thing, and you're pretty sure that you are. Sometimes you actually are right and Xcode is wrong, and you need to quit and restart to get it to jog its memory and realize that it's not doing its job properly. But anyway, this is all to say that Command B, or build, asks Xcode to compile your code and let you know if there's anything wrong with it. And this is great. It's like a fact checker. Xcode, as a collaborator, you can say, hey, I've written a body of code, I've written a bunch of code, I'm ready to see, like I've completed my thought in the editor here, and I'm ready to see if you think that it's also complete. And that's the level at which you would do build. When we hit this play button, Xcode first runs, builds your application, but it does one other thing too. It'll actually run it. So run is sort of a combination of building and executing your code. Building is like just compiling it, checking that syntactically everything is looking good. Executing it is the next step, and that's like, let's actually launch this thing, install and launch this thing on a device and see if it does what we want it to do. So running is basically a synonym for build and execute. And if we do run or Command R as shown, it has the same effect as hitting the play button. It installs our app on the simulator and it launches it. We can hit stop, and that does what it says it does. It stops execution of the application. So running here is the same as hitting product, run, or Command R. And that builds, so you see the little build succeeded message, and then it installs and runs it on the virtual device or the actual device if you do have one plugged in. All right, so that's a great stopping point. We've got our Hello World application here, and we've taken a look at what's actually happening when we hit this play button up here. We've looked at building and running, which contains building but adds an additional step of installing and launching your application on the iOS simulator. We've also taken a look at how Xcode, what happens in the build step, how Xcode identifies and notifies us about any errors that are present in the code that we have written. Alrighty, see you next time.